So when we have this argument, though, and when we have this conversation, can we go back to the original idea of that a woman sacrificing her goals and her career is outdated, or traditional roles are outdated, because we're still having this conversation and we can't all come to one conclusion?
Well, yeah,
How outdated
I
could it
wouldn't
be?
say it's I wouldn't say it's outdated. I would say it's X desired or anything. There's a desire for a certain lifestyle, and the average guy really doesn't bring the lifestyle that the woman today that would compel the woman to want to participate in a relationship, a traditional relationship, so to speak, if you can understand that. So, like, if what's the average earning again, Sweeney?
It's like in the mid 50s, right? Yeah.
Mid 50,
Yeah, 50s.
Yeah, mid 50s.
55K. So Casey, let's just say that you earn 75,000. You financially stable on your own. You looking for a man that can provide. You run into I use myself. You run into me and I say, hey, look, I make about 10,000 shy of you, but I could be a provider. You know what I'm saying? You can set it down, but the lifestyle you're gonna have is gonna be downgraded. Are you willing to deal with that?
I would never downgrade my lifestyle for a man.
So it's not outdated. It's you have a standard now.
Exactly. But the idea of things being outdated was stemmed from the video of women sacrificing for traditional love or traditional relationships or what have you. And the general consensus was at first that, oh, that's outdated. Nobody asks women to sacrifice anything. Nobody asks women to be traditional. Nobody asks women to do this, that, and third. But it's still now a conversation of, oh, well, she should be cooking and cleaning if I'm working, or oh, it's still traditional in that sense. And if you consider yourself a progressive person, you should not expect your woman to cook and clean no matter how hard you work, and you shouldn't expect your man to provide no matter how much you cook and clean. You have to remove the traditional sense from it, or you say that it is still occurring. You can't play both sides.
Well, you lost me on the fact that nobody asked. I think people still ask. I
No,
would
I
say
didn't say
men.
that.
Well, you said nobody asks women to be traditional anymore.
No, I didn't say that nobody asked women to be traditional. That was the general consensus, that women are not being asked to sacrifice anything anymore. That
Well,
was the beginning
being
argument.
asked is different than expecting to do it.
Asked,
It's
expected,
almost like she's
semantics.
her mentally predisposed to automatically have a default mentality to be a traditional woman. Is
Hmm.
that expectation is outdated. But men asking women to still fill that role is not outdated.
But
So
this, well, maybe Aisha or Ty can speak to this, because based on what they said, that it was, well, Aisha said that the line of thinking was outdated, and Ty said that women are naturally, or women are made to sacrifice, or to provide for their families, or not provide, but to nurture and care. That's how you're set up naturally. So maybe they can speak
Biologically,
towards that question.
but the mentality
Yeah,
Mhm.
is programmed to be different.
exactly. Exactly. Biologically, we are set up to be nurturer and caretakers. That's why we
And I
have
and I agree.
so Casey, let me ask you this.
breasts.
Do, if you were a husband, right? Let's say you got a house, whatever. Um,
Hmm.
do you feel it prudent for you to take out trash or no?
It depends on the roles that we have within the household.
Is- would you prefer to take out trash? So if you had a husband right now, you wouldn't have, you don't have an idea as to what you would expect. You would have to talk about it to say, all right, I do Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays or whatever. Like, is that's what you would
I
do?
think
Or
these become problematic conversations when we come in with expectations.
right.
Me
So
personally,
if
hmm
you're driving on the road, right, and then y'all bust a flat and whatever, are
hmm
you gonna get out and change the tire, or are you gonna talk about it, or are you gonna just expect him to do that?
you see, the thing about my basis of having an understanding and having an education, My man more than likely will take the lead on changing the tire, but me personally, I know how to change a tire if need be. And so that's where education and understanding comes in. And if you don't have any basis or you don't have any understanding, how can you be deemed to help me?
The
So let me ask
question
you
that was posed though was
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the car with your man, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if you know how to change the tire or take out the garbage. Is your expectation that if that tire goes flat, that he will fix it? Or are you hopping out with your wrench to go ahead and pump up the car and get it done?
I mean, these are all circumstantial questions. I don't
It's
answer
not. It's
questions
not.
like this.
Would you want him to change it or not?
I have AAA.
Oh my,
So,
Casey, you're killing me. You're
Hold on, y'all. Let me get
killing
the
me.
We're not going to bait me into
It's not a bait.
question or
I just
answering
want you
questions.
to answer a yes or no question. And I think that's another thing. Like a lot of women like to go around questions. Just answer the question. If you're in the car with your man and your tire goes flat, do you expect him to change it? Yes or no? If you got AAA and you feel like you can do it, the answer could be no. Or you do.
Yes, the answer is yes. I'll
I
answer.
expect the tire to get changed. That's what I
So
do.
yes, you expect him to change the tire. You expect him to take out the garbage. Like these are
But
things
let's
that
talk
we
about
would
if he's
just
not a
expect.
traditional man and he doesn't know how to change a tire, then what? Because
Then you go
traditional
to other
roles
options.
exist.
But that's your expectation, though. In the beginning, is that you would think he would know how to do it, or
But
that
we're
he's
talking
going to
about me personally, and I'm talking objectively. We can't talk about me personally because we're talking about overall. And overall, what was stated was that traditional roles do not exist on either side. That's not even a real thing.
No, we're not saying that it's
Who
not a real
said
thing.
that?
That was stated. That was
Said
stated.
that. Nobody said that traditional roles no longer exist. Because there are people
Okay, well, excuse me. Let me not say traditional roles no longer exist. It's not. Traditional love is not a real thing because women are no longer being asked to sacrifice or give up their life and their goals. So traditional love is
Who
not.
said that women are no longer being asked?
They said
Did
is the
Sweeney say that?
expectation that women is it the expectation that women
Y'all are
have to sacrifice for
y'all
love?
are gaslighting her.
But that's still an expectation.
How are we gaslighting her?
Look, I can't
Now
be
we just throwing
gaslit though.
out
That's the
words.
thing.
Okay, let me
Because I'm
try to
still going back to the
You heard it
origin.
correctly. They said that. You heard them correctly.
No,
Let's
let me
talk
try to
about
simplify
it.
it for you.
You're
Let me try to
gaslighting.
simplify it for you, Casey.
You're
Let's say you're an employee out on the job market. You're open on to work, and I'm the hiring. I'm the boss. We're asking basically what we're saying is we're asking you to do the job, fill the role, and do the task. But we have received patterns from the type of hiring your type. I'm just say that hiring your type. There's a history of hiring your type that you won't complete the task that you're supposed to, or you won't fill the role that you're supposed to fill. So we're asking you to fill the role, but we don't expect you to fulfill it. You get what I'm saying? We're asking you to fill the role, but we don't expect you to fulfill it based on history. You get what I'm saying? Based on the current statistics and data that we're represented with. Does that simplify it for you? So when you get to work, sometimes you might not fucking complete your task. Sometimes you might not even show up. Sometimes you might threaten to quit. You get what I'm saying?
No.
So we associate that with your employee type. You still don't get it, guys.
No, I need. Okay, so I
Hold
heard your
on. Yeah,
example. I heard
we
your
got to get
example.
Callie in there,
Now
y'all.
correlate it back to the topic.
Well, I thought that's what I did. So when I get a woman, I'm asking her to be a traditional in a relationship. I'm asking her to be a helpmeet. But once we get into the relationship, it's a bait and switch, or she's sometiming. She decided that she don't want to do it, and there's a trend going on with these particular women that's doing that. So we associate that with this type of women. We start to categorize women. and we start taking a risk when we get in relationships with them because we don't really know whether they're going to stay down or they're going to be consistent. So the expectations for them to be traditional is gone, but we're still asking for it because men typically still want and need it.
But again, like I said, it's dependent on the type of relationship you're looking for. If you deem yourself to be a progressive person and you have progressive views and you don't feel like your woman should sacrifice this, that, and third, or should cook and clean, then you don't subscribe to that traditional mindset.
Okay, who's on this? Who's made a statement saying that they're a progressive person or have progressive views on this panel?
Nobody has, and that is my point exactly, because nobody stated, "Oh, I'm a progressive person," but it's no such thing for women to be asked to sacrifice anymore. That's so outdated. That was 40 years ago. That was 70 years ago. But you still are expecting traditional roles within your relationship. It's not that outdated.
So you said nobody's coming in with progressive views.
I can't say that people aren't coming in with progressive views if you're deeming the idea of traditional love and women sacrificing their careers and their jobs as outdated. You must be thinking progressively, but based upon the extent of this conversation, it's been deemed that people are not thinking progressively and they still expect traditional roles to happen.
We're not.
But you're claiming that it's so outdated.
We're not thinking progressively. Everything that we do, it's been the same. When we go out and work, when men go out and work and get careers, we're doing it for the sake of building a family and having a legacy in the future. When women go out and build careers, we can't really say the same for the most part. You get what I'm saying? It's starting to tip towards I'm going out to get a career for the sake of my own independence. But even amidst that, men are still trying their hand. Hey, look, I need you to get on my program. So we're not changing. Our mindset is still conservative. Yet we're dealing with progressive people, but we still feel like we have the power and authority to sway the woman to get back in line.
So let me pose this question to you. Do you expect or would you ask or want your woman to sacrifice her career or her goals for the sake of your family to be able to provide, to nurture and care for your family? Would you ask your woman to do so? Yes.
You asking me personally?
Yes.
I have. I met my woman when she was on her psychology degree in college. She got a master's degree too. She was full throttle, pedal to metal to go on her own aspirations and dreams. And I came in and I said, I need you to get on my program. What I gotta do? Oh, you want hard pipe? Hard pipe. You want me to be a provider? Provider. You want me to come up with a game plan? I got you. There we go.
Okay, so
she had the progressive mindset. I still had the same mindset men always had.
Right. So you and I can both agree that you still would want your woman to sacrifice her career goals or some things in her own personal life for the betterment and the care of your family. That's still existing within your mindset in 2025.
Right. I would want her to use sound judgment that makes sense, make as much logical sense as you can by looking at data, biologically, all that. And it always point back to it's better to just get behind the man.